Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is November the 3rd, 2024 at 4:07 p.m. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. My name is David Underwood, and I'm joined by the one and only incomprehensible Baron of Bonds himself, Brandon Beaver.
Does incomprehensible? Do you just not understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Are my
I
words too
was waiting.
big?
I was waiting to see if you caught that. It's like the second show in a row I've said
Yeah,
that, I think. I've been waiting to see. I can't understand you. What are you saying?
Brandon Beaver, the one that nobody can understand.
I like to have a little bit of fun every now and then, break up the monotony. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you said something this time. I was going to see how many shows in a row I could get away with saying that before you reacted.
I caught it the first time last week. I just didn't know what to say to it.
You just kind of wrote it off like,
I'm just
whatever.
talking. Nobody understands what I say. Like they just, Dave's done. Time to end the podcast. He's incomprehensible. Nobody knows what he's saying.
I'm dying and laughing here. I'm like crying almost. All right. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it was. Wow. Big week coming up. Big week in every sense of the word, right? I don't know if you're aware, Brandon, there's an election coming up this week. Uh, and also a Fed meeting as well. They're gonna
Yeah,
have their mini
unfortunately, I'm
election,
aware of the election. Unfortunately, I am more aware of the Fed meeting.
right? But we
Well,
don't
I
get we
guess
don't get advertisements everywhere we look for Fed meetings. So
yeah, I'm begrudgingly more aware of the election than I am the Fed meeting, but I'm more interested in the Fed meeting.
yes and no for me. Yes and no for me. Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit, talk about it. This is the first time our podcast that we've been recording, and we have a presidential election the week of the podcast. So I am going to get into it a little bit. I'm not going to get political, but I'm just going to get into different investments, trades. You'll see.
Yeah, this is
You'll
look. So
hear.
this is my ninth election of being alive, right?
Okay.
And this is now the ninth election that is the most important election in the history of the United States.
Yeah, we could probably do a podcast just on things that constantly get repeated every single election and stay apolitical. You know?
Just viewing it from an outsider's perspective, it's just so crazy. A lot of it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait for it to be over and we can start moving forward as a country and as people and neighbors and so on and so forth.
Yes,
Uh,
as people, not as Democrats or Republicans, as people, individual people with our own thoughts would be fun.
So let's get into the rules, huh? Rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. You're to live back and forth, to bicker and to banter right here on the show for you. Being that it's an election week, Brandon has tipped his hat and is allowing me to go first. I appreciate that, Brandon. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to talk about the election and if you're an investment or a trader, if you are thinking about trading, what are you gonna trade? What are you gonna do this week? Are you looking? And I'm asking this not to you, Brandon, but more rhetorically. Are you looking to buy something this week, expecting a certain result? Are you looking to buy something? Thinking that this candidate, or if this candidate wins or that candidate wins, what are you going to invest in? What are you going to buy?
No,
What's going
nothing
on?
in particular. Just if anything comes down to a good valuation, then yeah, I'll buy into it. But it's just like any other week to me. The
See, and
volatility may be higher or lower, but that's
so the volatility is definitely going to be higher no matter what. I mean, you have to admit that because there are certain securities and certain things out there that are going to move a lot based on the winners, such as let me give some examples here is cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. And I'm going to reference this article I was reading. It just came out on Friday. The headline reads: Hedge funds search for trades in dead heat U.S. election. This was on the Reuters news wires. Um, it goes in here and it lists a couple different things, but some things I want to quote from here, which is what I like, is and this is David Kalk. He's the founder of hedge fund Reflexive Capital. His quote is he said the potential Bitcoin upside would be 2 to 3 times the money. If Trump wins, as he
Why?
expects a more friendly regulatory approach to crypto under the former president. Now, in the flip side, he said the negative price response we expect in case of a Harris victory just seems much smaller than the upside if
So
Trump
what
wins.
what is he referencing? What about Trump's first 4 years in office was so much better um for cryptocurrency than the last 4 years has been?
What he is referencing, and what a lot of people and a lot of articles I've read this past week are reference, Brandon, is the SEC and the desire, the motivation, the willingness, if you will, of the government, the federal government, to go after cryptocurrencies and scrutinize and overregulate. And Ripple is the perfect example of a cryptocurrency company that has just been taken to the courts day after day for different things. And they expect a more relaxed environment under the Trump administration.
Okay.
And so, given that, he sees the upside potential to be huge versus a downside not to be that bad. Just it might go down a little bit, is what he's saying.
Gotcha.
So, if for him, if he believes that Trump has a good chance of winning, that's one he would bet in. Or if it's looking like the results are coming in and everything's looking like Trump's going to win, then he's going to start buying up Bitcoin. And that's one of the moves that some of these hedge funders, these capital groups, are looking to make, Brandon, because a lot of people are going to be making moves Tuesday evening and into Wednesday morning, and they're going to be moving funds. So Wednesday, come the morning time, election probably won't be called by then, I assume, given how the last few have been. So Wednesday morning, the markets are still going to be volatile. People are still going to be looking for where to put money. You know what I mean? Trade. So there's going to be a lot of those kind of trades here in the markets this week. And again, we're not going to probably have an answer Wednesday morning. We'll probably be maybe Friday before the whole thing settles out and we actually get to know who won. Maybe, who knows? Um, some of the Trump trades, they went into detail here is like, of course, DJT, which is the Trump media company. That's of course going to have wild swings.
Don't touch
What?
it.
Huh?
There's no earnings there.
There is no earnings there,
No.
but so here's the thing: like if Harris wins, it's gonna drop like a ton, like a solid brick, right?
Yeah.
But if Trump wins, it's gonna shoot to the moon.
I mean, but yeah, watch it. If Kamala wins, a lot of that drops probably going to happen pre-market. So
Oh
I don't
yeah,
think you're going to get the exposure and the options, unless you got a brokerage that lets you trade options prior to open.
which that's rare, and but I mean these. I'm just going into what some of the possible big movements are here in the market this week, right? It's neck and neck. There's no real clear winner right now, and it's going to be a lot of short term, large capital movement in and out of things. uh, Tesla, because Elon Musk has shown large support for Trump, shown up at his rallies. If Trump wins, does Tesla take a nice 10% jump?
It probably will.
But I mean, so there are these plays that are going to go out this week and go on. And if you firmly believe in one candidate or the other, I mean, there's money to be made.
Yeah.
So I mean, that to me, that's opportunity. I don't. It's a toss up. I have no idea who's going to win
Yeah.
personally. Um, and so like, am I buying any trades expecting one way or another right now? No. But come Tuesday evening, cryptocurrency is traded 24 hours a day. So I mean, there's opportunities there at midnight if things are coming in and showing this way or that way. There's opportunities.
I would expect a drop in some of the big tech if Kamala Harris wins.
Really.
Yeah.
That's really surprising since majority of those CEOs have been backers of Kamala Harris.
Well, stronger regulations in that field. There'll be, more of a possibility that Google and Meta would break up. I don't think they will, but there'd be more of a possibility of that happening. Um, More of a possibility of capital gains taxes increasing and that whole idea of unrealized capital gains tax that going through. Those things that hit the big seven.
Gotcha. Um, let me go in here a quote from Citigroup. Citigroup have exited some of their Trump trades, including one they profited from rising 5-year inflation expectations from before. So they've exited their Trump trades. So Citigroup's made it clear that they're expecting a Kamala win.
Okay.
Um, that's just some of these movements here. I mean, there's lots of here we go. Here's another one. Macro hedge fund MKP Capital Management. Their founder Patrick McMahon says he sees shorting the yuan versus the dollar as an asymmetric trade, given the losses the Chinese currency may face if tariffs were imposed. So short the yuan versus the dollar because of Chinese tariff situation, and that's a trade that can also be made.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different trades you can make here
I don't.
based on policies that have been put out there. Now, these are just trades because a lot of these positions say, let's go off the hypothetical just
So
for
why would he
example,
short the Korean currency then?
Chinese yuan,
Oh, okay.
yuan, not won.
Okay, isn't that yen? I think you pronounce it yen.
No, yuan. Yen is the Japanese.
Okay. Are you sure? Because won,
I could be
Korean
wrong.
won,
I could be
WON.
wrong. I've been wrong before. It's okay for me to be, I
Yeah,
could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's the way it's pronounced.
because Korean currency that is pronounced won. That is, and it's like
WON. Yes. I've seen, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why
Um,
would you short the Chinese?
because
I
of
wouldn't short
tariffs.
it right now at all,
Because
though.
both candidates have said that they're going to impact tariffs, but Trump's been even more about tariffs, and so he says you would short the yuan versus the dollar.
Yeah, but you got a big Chinese regulatory meeting coming up in the next couple of weeks, and people are expecting a huge stimulus to come out of it. So I'm not sure that I would short it because that's going to actually decrease the value. Well, okay, so it will decrease the value of it. You're right. My train of thought is broken.
You're good. You're
You're
good.
correct. You're correct.
So I mean, yeah, that's another play that's going to happen based off what this person is saying. So
Yeah.
there's a lot that you can do here. There's a lot that you can play. Some companies are doing things that can offset one and offset the other. But like I go back to the first one I mentioned here, which was the Bitcoin. That it's a play that if Trump wins, you have big returns, but if Harris wins, it's not a big loss. It's just like a 5% loss or a 10% loss, maybe.
Well, it depends on where you sell it at. I mean, Bitcoin's so volatile that it may take a huge drop right away before it recovers. And if you panic and you sell, then you might lose more. Who knows? I don't know.
Right. I mean,
Can't
we're speculating here based off of trades. These are just
predict.
trades I'm talking about. Nobody here, I believe, in that was interviewed in the making of this article is actually really holding most of this stuff for investments. Besides maybe some of the Bitcoin, they might hold on to that for investments. But most of what I read is these are just trades
Yeah.
they're doing in short term based off of movement that they see could happen.
Yeah.
And everybody, not everybody, multiple founders and CEOs that were interviewed mentioned that no matter who wins, they see a drop in treasuries. And I found
Well, that
that
makes
interesting.
sense.
I found that interesting that they believe that both you can make a case no matter who wins that the treasuries will take a drop, will take a hit this
Yeah,
week.
I
So
could see that.
you have that approach too. So I mean, there's
Well, we had a sharp increase last week, so I mean, some of that's probably going to give back regardless.
right. And that's a good episode or show or maybe even a TikTok I can do on why are treasuries important to everyday person here. Why do we even care?
Yeah, we've talked about it before. I mean, they're very important to the valuation of stocks.
Yep. All right. So
Generally, the lower those yields are, the higher the stock market goes, especially tech.
is yes, especially tech. Um, and I think tech's has the multiples, the PE multiples on these. Texas is just, man, they got to continue that growth or it's just overvalued.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do. And Nvidia's been doing it. And it's been surprising. They've been surprisingly holding up that multiple and saying, hey, we're still growing at 40, 50%, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing that they're
They
still
can't
able to do
continue
it.
forever.
We say
But
that, but yet, Brandon, we've been saying that for a year now.
well, I
We
mean,
we
there's
started
only
saying that 1 year ago today
yeah.
they can't continue this growth forever, and they have,
Well, then Amazon came through this week and said, "Oh, we're giving billions and billions of dollars to."
right? I mean, not everybody had a good week. Look at Apple.
Yeah,
Apple
and you
didn't
know
have a
what?
strong week.
Record iPhone sales for Apple, but it was kind of, if you look at the growth year over year, it was a little bit muted, but it was a record.
And Harris has gone on the record saying that she's going to go ahead and look into price gouging and major corporations, like you said. And so if she wins, like you said, I mean, I know that the CEOs have been big backers of her, but like, do those stocks take a hit? So I don't know. There's a lot to look at there, a lot that we could go. We could delve into all kinds of corners of the markets and say, well, this company here, XYZ, is going to take a drop, and we could try to find a 6 degrees, Kevin Bacon explanation for why, but we don't need to. I think that's enough for our listeners to get that there are opportunities. You can find them everywhere this week for quick trades. It's going to be volatile. Don't panic if you're in long-term investments because you bought it for fundamental microeconomic reasons. Don't panic. Maybe look at have some if you have cash on hand, maybe buy some more if something drops that you're a long-term investor in. So
If people like me and you have been ahead of this whole price gouging thing and ahead of inflation for so, we explained to you prior to the COVID checks being passed out, all the stimulus that happened, how that was going to lead to higher prices, the devaluation of the currency, and why it would, and the fact that, and it's not just me and you. There's been people all over the media that have explained this. There's been economists that have explained this 1,000 times over. And then the fact that you still go out and say, "Oh, it's price gouging." Come on.
yeah,
You know what it is. And you know what else got on my nerves too? And I understand the frustrations. I hate the fact that the people of Florida had to go through the two hurricanes. But guess what? You didn't like the price gouging of the gas down there, which, by the way, it wasn't really price gouging. It's supply and demand. That's what happens. The price goes up. But on the flip side of that, if there was no gasoline available, then you'd be pretty mad about that too, right? The price is going up. That's the reason why there's gasoline down there, because that is, and prior to the hurricane, because that was the incentive for people to drive into that mess.
yep.
Yeah, to transport your oil to, Florida and the Gulf, and that got hit with it. So there was no price gouging that happened there. The prices had to go up in order to incentivize people to get that oil to you and to
So
complete the supply chain so that you would actually have gasoline and that you wouldn't be in a shortage.
So let me give a more layman explanation of what the example Brandon's given here. So Brandon did work for a while in logistics and trucking and transportation on the office side and broker inside. And truckers, when they know that, or anybody really in transportation, when they know that a state is going to have a natural disaster coming, they don't want to drive into that state. So they're going to ask for more
It's gonna be
money.
a mess. You
They're
don't
going
want
to
to go
ask
into
for more
Florida
money. Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
99% of the time, unless it's summer or, there's the oranges are in season, for example, then yes, you want to go into Florida. But most of the time, if that's not the case, think about Florida, right? It's only got one border, one landlocked border with, two different states there. So if you go down to Florida, on the east, there's nowhere to go. On the west, there's nowhere to go. The south, there's nowhere to go. You can only go north. So for truckers, that's kind of landlocking them. And they're like, it's kind of a freight dead zone as a result, unless it's produce season. In which case, there's a lot of truckers that want to go down there because there's a lot of business. But um, and this kind of heats up, especially when you've got a situation where there's a natural disaster. Traffic is going to suck. The weather is going to suck. You got all kinds of different hazards that are going to be happening around you. You don't want to do that, so you want to raise prices, right? So if you live in Florida and you got a hurricane coming and then another hurricane after that, you cannot expect gasoline prices to stay flat. And then if you have some idiot politician come in and try to regulate it so that there is flat, oil prices, you're not going to have any oil. The same thing would have happened after COVID here in the United States with everything. We did have a shortage, would have been a much worse shortage if prices didn't go up. And it wasn't just because of COVID. It wasn't just because of the situation with the supply chain. It was also because we devalued our dollar and prices for everybody went up, including suppliers.
Yes.
And guess what? If
Yes.
you can't make a profit, what's the purpose of doing business? Business slows if you can't make a profit. So if somebody comes in and then tries to, one person or two people or even a party of people comes in and tries to dictate what prices should be for what industry that they're not even in, they've got no experience in at all, then you're going to have shortages again.
I like your explanation here. I do. I do. You are explaining like the your theories in a good way. And I agree with most of them, right? But I want to get back to investing here, right? I want to get back into, helping our listeners find where to put their money, how to put their money here. And let's bring it back to that. Just so again, to my point that I was wrapping up with, if you're a long-term investor, it's going to be volatile this week. Don't panic. If it takes a drop down, just opportunity to buy more at a lower price.
Yeah.
Um, if it takes a big jump up, great. Maybe if you see it overvalued, maybe you trim a little bit of profit, maybe not. Who knows? Make those decisions based off fundamental reasons and not emotional reasons at that time. But that's what we're looking for this week. The Fed decision is going to be huge, and we have a lot of earnings, but we'll get into the earnings later on in the show. Brandon, I want to give you some time because I know you have some stuff to cover. So go ahead.
You want me to start now? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. That's it.
Okay, I don't even know how
Hard
long we've got in
transition.
the show, but
Hard
I'm gonna
transition.
go. Okay, all right, fine. Um, Ambev, I was looking at Ambev's earnings here, and I just kind of touched on it a little bit. China was soft. Revenue was down in China for just about everybody that reported. China's still having a tough time here. But U.S. sales had bounced back, and the boycott that happened last week or that last year seems to have bottomed, right? So everybody remembers this boycott began when transgender, um, I don't know, was she Instagram, Snapchat, something like that? I don't remember. Dylan Mulvaney.
TikTok. TikTok.
Gotcha. She posted a personalized Bud Light can and celebrated it. People started boycotting that. Um, and sales dropped. The third quarter U.S. sales this quarter climbed 1.8%. They said that they were aided by higher prices and an additional selling day. They gained market share, which was driven by Michelob Ultra and Busch Light, but shares did close down 5.8% in Belgium and 5.6% in New York due to missed analyst estimates. So we missed on the top line and the bottom line here. U.S. results turned around from a 14% sales drop a year ago, so we seem to be going back up on Bud Light. I'm iffy here.
Didn't they
I'm
didn't they
iffy.
sign a deal with UFC as well or something?
Yeah, they did. They got a deal with UFC. They're the largest beer beverage maker in the world. Um, they've got a wide moat, not necessarily here in the United States or Europe, where they face a lot of competition, especially from craft beer. But I mean, in Latin America, this is almost like a monopoly. So, I mean, that's good for them. I'm going to say it should be in your portfolio. I'm not going to buy it myself, but I wouldn't mind if people. I would say this is a buy, in my opinion. It's got a 19% price earnings ratio, but that's based on depressed earnings from a year ago. I think it's going to continue to go higher. I think Bush Light here in the United States continues to go higher and continues to gain market share. I think Michelob Ultra is a fad because that seems like, people go on the low calorie diet. That seems to pop up every once in a while. It's not a good beer, in my opinion. It's just not, but people drink it when they want to lose weight. So it goes up and it goes down. Um, but Ambev, um, yeah, I think they've got a wide moat here, especially in Latin America. I think it's a fine buy.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Because I would think that like Modelo would be better in Latin America, or who's the one that owns Corona? Constellation.
Yeah, Constellation Brands.
Wouldn't they be stronger in
Yeah,
Latin America?
South America is mostly the market when I say Latin America, South America when I'm talking
Gotcha.
about here.
Gotcha.
I was a little bit concerned about their sales in Argentina. A lot of countries like Argentina and developing countries and stuff like that are turning to wine and spirits, but I think they'll come back to beer too. So,
Well,
um,
Argentina's turning lots of things around. They've done a magnificent job down there
yeah,
lately.
well, I mean, I think they are too. I mean, it's tough in the short term. Um, Remember back to when Russia, had their switch into capitalism, and they had the market shock and stuff like that. At the very beginning, it was really tough. In the very beginning, when all of those government-run companies went to the private industry, a lot of them went out of business because they had no business being in business anymore. There's no good reason. They were just government backed, and that's why they still existed. So unemployment tends to spike in the near term, but then over the long term, it's better for everybody. So
Gotcha.
so I'm calling Ambev a buy. AB Ambev. I think it's got a great um presence globally, wide market share in Latin America. Here in the United States, a little bit tougher, but I like the potential for it to go higher. Um,
So the only alcohol or spirit or any kind of drink company that I would buy would be Altria Mo, ticker symbol Mo, because they make close to $1 billion a year just off of
okay.
wine alone. But they have like their tobacco business, which is a big driving force, and all the vapes and e-cigarettes and stuff as well.
Yeah. Here's one that I didn't tell you I was going to cover, but I'm going to cover it anyways. Speaking of, because we're talking about drinks, right? This is non-alcoholic, but Keurig Pepper struck a deal to acquire energy drink maker Ghost for $1 billion. Real money.
Really?
And yeah, and have you ever had
Wow.
Ghost? This is actually some really good stuff if you've never had it before.
I've never had Ghosts.
Really good. I recommend Sour Patch Kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So they got initial cash investment of about $990 million for a 60% stake in Ghost. So this is actually going to go quite a bit over $1 billion, really. The remaining 40% stake will be acquired in 2028. I would assume that 40% stake will be valued a lot more than what it is right now. Um, Keurig has a market value currently on their own of $50 billion. Shares are about 10% this year, so trailing the market. Keurig's beverage portfolio includes Sunkist, Canada Dry, Green Mountain Coffee Roaster, Swiss Miss, Venom Energy, and Bai, and Dr. Pepper, of course, and Snapple. Um, this is Keurig's biggest deal since acquiring Dr. Pepper Snapple Group in 2018 for $19 billion. Previous investments include a minority stake in Athletic Brewing in 2022. Ghost was founded in 2016, launched Ghost Energy in 2020 with Anheuser-Busch InBev as a backer. Ghost products include energy drinks and supplements that are available in retail chains like 7-Eleven, Kroger, Dick's Sporting Goods has them too. Lauren Coe and Hughes continue leading Ghost under Keurig's U.S. refreshment beverages segment. Keurig plans to invest $250 million into Ghost distribution network next year. And the energy drink market is very competitive, by the way, with players like Red Bull, Monster Beverage, Celsius Holdings, and up-and-comers like Alani, New, and Prime. Um, Prime is Logan Paul's back drink. Monster Beverage owned by Coca-Cola. Celsius is owned by Pepsi. Monster is currently the biggest one in the game right now. I like this for Dr. Pepper. I think it's probably a little bit overvalued, but most of these deals are usually. Um, and
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for us to value these things because we look at all you could really see is what Ghost is doing now, and that doesn't seem like it really should be, $1 billion valuation. But then once a big player like Keurig Dr. Pepper and somebody with the distribution network that they have gets a hold of it, then who knows what can happen. Um, I like it. I like the idea that they're buying it. I'm not necessarily buying Keurig Dr. Pepper right now. I think it's a little overvalued, but it's on my watch list.
Well, I mean, it's going to take a hit, right? Because the announcement of purchasing goes,
You would think
stocks
so.
should take
You
a
would
hit.
think so. You would think so. And the idea of the energy drink market, people investing into the energy drink market, that's been kind of overplayed a little bit, but it's still to this day, even in 2024, it's a high growth industry.
Yeah, I
So
mean, the founders of Ghost apparently started this company 8 years ago. And now they're being bought out for $1 billion.
yes, yeah,
So kudos to them.
yeah. The other thing I wanted to cover here, I got two more things actually, but Amazon reported earnings, 81% year over year jump in CapEx. That surpassed Microsoft, Meta, and Alphabet, higher than all three. What's leading that? Artificial intelligence.
Okay, how you got to break it down to me like I'm a 5-year-old of how they're making money off of AI right now.
Cloud. I'm going to break it down to you like you're a 5-year old, only because I don't know the specific numbers, but I'm going to tell you what they have to put it into cloud and advertising.
Hmm.
So they want to beat out Google Cloud. They want to beat out Microsoft's cloud. They want, AWS. They want a big presence there. That's all going to be driven by artificial intelligence even more than it is today. Ads are the same thing. So $22.6 billion in Q3 alone on capital expenditures.
That yeah, that's a lot of expense. In yeah,
So
I still
analysts,
nobody has yet been able to explain to me in layman's terms how you can make more money off of AI because advertisements are already computer generated towards your what you've liked on that. So say Google, I'm going down Google. This is before all this AI talk 10 years ago. You'll be going through Google search and there's still going to be advertisements placed in there because of where you've searched before and what you searched at. That was a thing 10 years ago. So you can't say that's what they're going to do now. AI is going to do. They've been doing that. Like what new thing is AI going to do to make advertising more efficient and money making for these
they
companies?
are searching for a way. You know why? And I've kind of in the past week kind of started drawing the lines here from A to B. Go back to when Meta first took its worst plunge in like 1 day history, right? This was when Apple announced all the consumer data protections that they had. So
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that, Meta, Facebook was tracking you on, they were no longer allowed to do. Meta took a huge hit on their market cap because of it. Now I think they're kind of hoping and praying that artificial intelligence makes up for this in some way. Now, I'm not inside of Mark Zuckerberg's head. He hasn't said this out loud, but that's my assumption.
All right. I need to talk to someone at Facebook or at Meta, sorry.
I know if there's anybody that listen, well, you probably couldn't come on here and talk anyways about it, but this was almost double what analysts expected. They expected a 42% rise to $17.6 billion in capital expenditures here. But we had 81% jump anyways. Um, however, unlike Meta and Microsoft, Amazon's share price jumped 5% after hours. And that's because unlike Meta and Microsoft, they sell things like razors and groceries that they can, make up for on the back end of this as far as gross margin. And gross margin was pretty much flat year over year despite that increase.
Yeah,
So
and
I would
they
call
sell
that
it
a
pretty.
victory.
Yeah, everything's pretty cheap on Amazon too. So you can find things very inexpensive, and that holds them strong through recessions, downturns, high inflation. Amazon still is able to produce a nice profit.
So Amazon came in with an operating profit 19% above analyst projections. They projected Q4 operating income in a range between 16 billion and 20 billion. That's above analyst estimations. And by the way, that's the first time in 14 earnings report that that their projected operating income came in above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So their low margin retail business was bulked up by lucrative cloud computing and advertising ventures. Advertising now generates $53 billion a year in revenue with a growth potential in Prime Video ads, is what they're focusing on.
53 billion a
$53
year
billion.
in just
Yeah.
ads.
Yeah.
Wow.
So CEO Andy Jassy actually described artificial intelligence as a multi-billion-dollar revenue run rate business. He thinks it's going to grow 3 times faster than Amazon Web Services. So I think that's what they're looking at. Amazon Web Services, the cloud business, that's where they want their artificial intelligence investments to boost their business. He's expecting to spend more on capital expenditures next year, planned $75 billion for the rest of the year. Um, if he maintains growth in goods and ads, investors will likely stay on board here. So it doesn't seem to be any negative news here on Amazon. It's pretty good earnings. I think still probably right around the fair value mark is where Amazon is. So I wouldn't buy it yet. But if we do have a situation with the election where this drops, yeah, keep it on your watch list and take a look at it. I'm going to quickly go into Meta's earnings real quick. I want to be quick because we were kind of slow with the rest of the stuff, but they had strong Q3 results. Revenue grew 19% year over year to $41 billion. Operating margins improved to 43%. Ad impressions and average price per ad increased 7% and 11% respectively. Heavy investments in artificial intelligence, no surprise there. They said that they're enhancing user engagement and monetization with those. Um, I think here we're trading right around what was it like 564? I think the last time I saw it somewhere around there. Probably fair value here too for Meta. If we get a correction, if the um, elections push the big seven down, you'd be looking for a pretty heavy correction here, probably about 20%. I'd buy it around 448.
Really?
Yeah.
So for honestly, for a long-term investment, if I wanted to buy Meta, if I was looking to buy Meta for a long-term investment, I would buy it at this price.
Okay.
I would have no problem buying at this price for a long-term investment.
For this year, operating, and this is wild that a company can still make a profit with this. Operating expenses for this year are projected to be between 96 billion and 99 billion for the year. Capital spending will rise to 35 between 35 billion and 40 billion dollars.
It's a lot of spending.
Yeah, well, they got a lot of money.
They do. And so here's the reason why I say what I said. Number one, Zuckerberg is still relatively very young.
Hmm.
Founder-led companies do extremely well. I believe he's still got probably another 15, 20 years of being fully involved at the head before he steps into a lesser role at some point. And so I firmly believe that, he's going to continue to push Meta into a stronger position long term.
I agree.
So I mean, if you're going to buy it, Meta's a great company to own long term.
He's brilliant.
I've said that for like the past 2 years. But I haven't, and I've said that, but I haven't bought it.
I'm
I'm
not
not even,
selling it. I've held it for a while.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, great company. He's done magnificent. Everybody's doubted him every time he said, "Hey, I'm putting a lot of money into this project or this project, and we're not going to see our returns for 8 to 10 years out." Everybody has come out and said, why are you doing this? You don't know what you're doing, but he continues to produce a good product and make a lot of money.
It was recently announced that the Apple Vision is probably going to be discontinued. This is
I
the
I
first
was
time. This is the first time that Apple's ever entered into any area and said we can't compete here.
Yeah, because people don't understand. There's so much more out there than just Oculus Quest. I mean that's of course the biggest VR console that's sold to retail to consumers, but they don't understand that Microsoft HoloLens has that's what all the government VR or AR is through Microsoft and other companies that have had these HoloLens or VR headsets for years and years and years, and they're entrenched in these big contracts, and
Yeah.
so it's a very hard business to break into.
And Meta's got the smart Ray Bans that consumers can buy.
right? I mean, that's
So,
that's a good AR use of technology that direct to consumers. So,
yeah. Well, Apple came in and said $3,000, and people were like, "Yeah, right.
right,
It's not going to happen
exactly.
like that."
Yeah, it was too much for the average consumer, and businesses have too many other options. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
all right, man. Well, let's get into some earnings, right?
Okay, more earnings.
Well,
Berkshire reported earnings. It was here and there, but we can talk about that at a later date. There was nothing
Berkshire is sitting on a
flashy.
mountain of cash.
Well, they sold
Mountain of cash.
25% of their Apple stake. And for the
Three,
first time in a long time, no share repurchases because he was just, from what I've heard, this didn't come out of Warren Buffett's mouth, but from what I've heard, they just don't see a reason to buy back their shares at this price. So,
man. All right. Um, I want to mention one quick article. It's going to take 2 minutes, Brandon, before I get into earnings and we close out the show. And it's about China's electric vehicle company BYD. BYD. So they moved up production this year by nearly 200,000 units from August to October. They did that by hiring close to 200,000 new employees. It's like one
wow.
new person per car.
Wow.
Um, but they posted 11.5% rise in their third quarter net profit. And so they're making money. They're getting that government subsidy as well, though, and I feel that has a big effect on that. So the revenue from July to September was $28.24 billion. A huge win for that versus Tesla. So that's Tesla's biggest global competitor, BYD. But yeah, huge company there and 200,000 new employees. So massive. All right, earnings. What do we have coming up on earnings this week? On Monday, we have Constellation Energy. I want to see what they have to say, take a good look at that. Of course, Fox Corp coming out. That's going to be a good one. And Palantir Technologies after the bell on Monday. Also on Monday, I don't see really anything else that's really big or like gives me a better.
Monday's always quiet for earnings.
Yeah, and I'm looking for big names that will kind of give me a overall aspect of a certain sector or group, if you will, that I call out on here. But Tuesday you got DuPont, you got Cummins, um, you got Marathon Petroleum on Tuesday. That's a good one if you're into oil. Take a look at that one, see how they're going. Marathon's more of like oil, as in like the gas stations and the consumer part, which is a good overview. A lot of energy, Devon Energy, Gulfport Energy. So we're going to see a lot of that this week. Going in still on Tuesday, super microcomputers. That's one after the bill on Tuesday. See how Bitcoin and everything's looking. See if people are selling that off, expecting a Harris win maybe, because that's directly linked to Bitcoin there. Um, Celsius on Wednesday, CVS Health on Wednesday. That's another one to get a look at the overall health pharmaceutical market. We've covered CVS in detail. They have their own what is it called now? Their own middleman buyer team. But
Yeah,
I forget. I'm losing my head here on terminology today. Arm Holdings after the bell on Tuesday. That's going to be another good one there on Tuesday. AMC movie theaters on Wednesday.
oh God.
You're gonna see the Reddit crowd that Brandon loves coming out for the see they could trade some AMC on a Wednesday before the bell. Uh, and then we get Qualcomm coming in before the bell on Wednesday as well. So that's a Take Two Interactive, Brandon's favorite company because they make his favorite game, Red Dead. So Take Two
Uh, G-
Interactive is huh? Go ahead.
GTA 6 is coming out. GTA 6. I don't know. It's gonna GTA
Well,
6 is a huge, GTA, the franchise altogether, always a huge needle mover for them. And they outdo any Hollywood franchise for sure, but you guys got to do better than just, being a two-hit wonder. I mean, they've got the NBA franchise, they've got the WWE franchise as far as sports goes, those yearly things, but outside of Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead, it's kind of hard for me to see them being something that I would buy and hold for the long run.
Well, I tell you what, man, let's see what they say in their earnings call on Wednesday. See what they come out. If they have anything, any updates on GTA, what's going on with that. That might be a catalyst to buy if
Yeah.
they do. On Thursday, I've got Penn Entertainment, gambling. That's it's a book. They've made some deals the past year. It would be a good idea to see if they've actually are now becoming profitable after making these deals and these not mergers, but like where they agree with the streaming services. Hey, we'll be your book, and you play these sports events, and we'll work with you. There's been a lot of that this year. I know Disney signed with a company, ESPN signed. Everybody's signing with different books and partnering instead of actually owning books. They don't want to own a book; they want to partner with a book. All right, so continuing on Thursday, got Warner Brothers Discovery. They've been doing horrible lately. I would like to see if they're able to turn that around. You got
Yeah.
DraftKings coming up after the bell, so another book on Thursday, two books on Thursday. Um, that'd be a good one to watch. See if they're actually making any money. Who knows,
Warner
man?
Brothers Discovery, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but they just spent a bunch of money on a TV deal for a wrestling company that not many people watch,
Right. Well, there you go.
AEW. And
Well,
I just don't, it kind of boggled, it blew my mind a little bit. So,
we'll find more in the earnings this week on Thursday. You got Rivian Automotive, who has really struggled, and I don't know how they're still maintaining um, a company. Really, at this point, that stock is just complete opposite of what you want to see. It goes from top left to bottom right on the year to date stock. They're looking to post a negative 95 cent loss, is what everybody's estimating, but that's going to come out on Thursday. And then Friday here, end up the week here. We got, not a whole lot here that I'm seeing. Nothing real big. Friday's a pretty light day. You got Bloomin' Brands. That'll be one to look for. So that's our earnings coming out this week. Hopefully you find one that you can't wait to hear the earnings call of.
I
Take Two
can't think of
Interactive,
one
man.
right now. I mean, Take Two Interactive would be interesting just for me as a gaming fan to see if there's any more news on a specific date for GTA 6 or if that's
I'm
on. But
I'm kind of interested in a CVS because I know that the like CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, they've closed down a lot of uh urban areas of those, and they're shifting to a new model where it's there's they in like certain cities they have this model where there's just a pharmaceutical. You come in, you get your prescriptions, and you leave, and there's no other things to buy there,
yeah,
no other products, and they've owned just a handful of those up to see how they're doing. I would like to understand if that's working better for them or not. So
yeah.
we'll see.
Well, speaking of M&A, 7-Eleven is shopping itself.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm gonna kind
right.
of see who buys that.
7-Eleven bought up Speedway, and then they were rumors that the Circle K was gonna buy up 7-Eleven or something. I don't know. There was just a whole in the convenience store gas station. There was a lot of mergers and acquisitions going on. It's being consolidated, which that's sometimes good for a sector. Consolidate and then grow from there, and then new competition pops up somewhere. So
Yep.
good opportunity. Brandon, final thoughts week before the election and Fed decision.
I just watch I wouldn't buy anything myself because I'm a long-term investor. Um, just based on the election, but based on what happens because of the election is a different thing, right? So if some of the stocks that I've been looking at and wanting to be in come down to a good price after the election for whatever reason, then yeah, I'll be a buyer for sure.
Cool. All right. Yeah, that's my thing as well. Same spill. I could just say ditto, but election coming up, it's gonna be very, very volatile. Watch out. Yeah, use your head. Don't be emotional. And if you're a long-term investor in some companies that may go down this week, don't worry about it. You're a
Mhm.
long-term investor. Don't panic. Don't hit the sell right away. All right. Cool. As always, we hope we have been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.